Welcome everyone. Thanks for coming on the call today. Just getting sorted here. It's great to have you on our Thursday morning coffee chat with Jost. And I think that is about to come up. And we are all good. Where is it? It says we're live.
Don't forget to record it when you start to.
Yeah, can you please check in the Facebook group because it's saying it's live, but I can't see it. It's really weird. Dun, 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 dun. Alrighty, well, welcome everybody. I hope you are fantastic on this wonderful Thursday morning. My name is Justin Phillips and I am tuning in to you from wonderful Bribie Island, Southeast Queensland. And myself and my extraordinary wife are very passionate about health and well-being and empowering people in their health and well-being and having happiness and prosperity and sharing our extraordinary life experiences. Okay, there we go. And we are now recording as well. So yes, so we get to do this all over the world, share our experiences and help people be healthy, happy and wise. And today is another example of that. We're bringing to you an extraordinary guest speaker who we've had on every week for quite a while now. It all started during this crazy COVID period. And we get to have our coffee chats and learn some extraordinary information from an amazing man. And that is the Jost Sauer, AKA the lifestyle medicine man, who was born in 1958 in Germany. Jost had studied acupuncture and oriental massage and structural balancing, sports injury management, all that sort of stuff. He started working as a therapist in 1991 and qualified as a doctor of Chinese medicine and lectured in traditional Chinese medicine for 10 years. And that's where I met him when he was supervisor of the student acupuncture clinic at the Australian College of Natural Medicine, which was reputed to be the best traditional Chinese medicine school in the Southern Hemisphere. Remember, Jost? It had a pretty good reputation. And Jost has founded and operated health centers and has worked internationally with celebrity clients in the US. In fact, he operated the only traditional Chinese medicine drug rehab center in the Southern Hemisphere. And health and fitness has always been his passion. And Jost's background includes competitive skiing at a national level, bodybuilding, triathlons, Ironman training. He discovered Kung Fu and Tai Chi, and that's when he realized that fitness is only part of the equation and vitality is the other. So this led to decades more research into how to live and how to use nutritional supplements, optimal diet, exercise, and weightlifting, martial arts, meditation, Tai Chi, and yoga to make you feel good. The Jost then added the 24 movement of Qi, a kind of Chinese medicine version of the body clock, which connects our day-to-day activities to the natural cycles of life, and developed his Qi cycle lifestyle. And this is the ultimate in lifestyle medicine. It's founded on thousands of years of Chinese medicine, and with over 30 years of Jost's academic research and practical observations from living it, Jost is a dynamic speaker renowned for delivering innovative and entertaining presentations. He is also the author of many books and has fantastic resources on his website, and I will put those links in the Zoom as we go down. Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome. Hope you're well. I'm sure you are. How about we? There we go. Da, 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 da.
All fine. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Good. Yeah, good.
I have a surprise for you today.
A prize?
Yes.
What's
I've
that?
been learning off the master, and for those of you in the 80s, this is an 80s reference. My Schwartz is as big as yours.
It really fell off. My God.
Classic. Does anyone remember where that come from? That would be Spaceballs.
The real thing. That's a real knife, yeah?
Yeah, that's a real mark. Absolutely. Yes, fantastic. So, yeah, how's your week been? What's going on? We've got some
lots going on. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a very intense time to be alive, and obviously lots of opportunities to do something awesome. So if we keep sanity in place, it all comes down to how not to buy into the incredible madness that goes on now. And what we know for sure is that we don't know what COVID is. And so it doesn't make much sense to buy into anything because we don't know. Yeah. And so we have never seen such change in society. Therapists who have been in business and having observed people for 40 years haven't really quite observed anything either. So we are in a new situation. But to keeping sane is really the crucial element right now, because then we are able to see things that otherwise we wouldn't see, because underlying all this is a massive evolution. And we are evolving into something new. So the doom and gloom stuff is, from a Chinese medicine perspective, always affiliated with yin and yang. So how we evolve in life is yin and yang. So every level we go up, which is yin, an equal amount of yang comes up. So that means we have the initial creation, but then also with it becomes a destructive element. So we can't actually grow without yang. So that we refer that to as the ladder of yin and yang. So that means we growing slowly, going up one level, which is yin. Once we reach that level, yang comes up. And then we're going up again, next level, then the yang comes up. So yang is always destruction. So this is, in order for us to grow into something new, Chinese medicine says it will not work without destruction. So this is what the doom and gloom feel that comes with this. As we are moving into something new, we're experiencing also the yang, the destruction, and that's the doom and the gloom. And we need to understand that it's nothing else than yang. Yes, so it's an aspect of nature. That's how Tao expresses itself, by the path of yin and yang. So there is never such thing as a smooth operation or a smooth growth towards the top of the mountain. Yes, it just doesn't exist. And
there's a lot of pain on the way.
Yeah, it's yang. And the higher the peak, this is the beauty of it. The higher we go, the more we move up to these incredible peaks, the more with it also the yang presents itself. So we cannot actually reach the top of the level without a massive destruction. You see, this is I've been in personal growth workshops and coaching people in personal growth now for almost 40 years. I've been in this industry. It's been a long time now.
Yeah.
And when I started this path myself, I was always annoyed and concerned when things didn't go right, when things were painful, when things were destructive. I always thought, I'm losing it. This must be there must be something wrong. I must be doing something wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously after a while, I realized it's all part of yin and yang. So then when I started observing other people and coaching other people in this path, I observed exactly the same situation, that those who started this path and got into the spiritual development and the growth process were concerned about the yang that came up, meaning they had a positive, beautiful experience at one stage, and then suddenly this massive yang that came up and threw everything to pieces. And then people said, there must be something wrong. I'm not gravitating, I'm not moving up because there's too much destruction going on here. So it's just like, for example, if you do a beautiful meditation a week retreat, say for 3 days, 4 days, you go this amazing meditation retreat, and you're reaching like 4 or 5 levels of yin, you go right up. Then on Sunday night, you're returning home. On Monday, all hell breaks loose. Yeah? So on Monday morning, the car doesn't start, the neighbor blew up the house or whatever. It's just one shit after another.
Yeah.
And that can last for 3, 4, 5 days. And then people think, oh, this is all bullshit. The physical world sucks. Life sucks. Everything's crap. We had such a beautiful experience on the weekend, and now it all sucks. Yeah.
That's so true. Yeah.
And so I've been running meditation retreats for whatever, 30 years, whatever that time is. And I've never ever seen it not being the case. So every time you reach a new level, it goes havoc for a few days, yes, or for time being, yeah. And so we are now moving, humanity is definitely moving on to a next level. We have achieved a lot, and we're moving on to the next level in the perception and understanding to each other, awareness, spiritual understanding. We have come a long way, but it also means there will be the corresponding yang energy presenting itself. Yeah. And that means it's not pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was checking in with my teacher because as you know, I started the TM meditation, transcendental meditation, after we had a great chat about that. And yesterday was my month check-in. And again, just randomly, I actually asked to sit in a different room to do the meditation because she's got these beautiful chairs in this other room. And having a good chair really makes a difference. And in this room, she had a piece of art, and it's not even Maharishi, it's Maharishi's teacher, and it's kind of that Vedic kind of style of art. Yeah. And so there he is, in his orange robes and his flowers, and it's all looking pretty. But there's a spear in the background, and on another thing, there's like these 2 tridents on this kind of shield. And our conversations about why is it in a lot of this ancient art, and you think spiritual art, the Hare Krishna art, the Bhagavad Gita, all of that sort of stuff, there's all this symbology of battle and battlefields. And it was such an eye-opener when you talked about, well, life's a battle, right? Like, it is a battle. And we've even done talks about getting up in the morning, that morning routine, like, you wake up, you go to battle, but by doing that yang expression in the morning with exercise, it actually just gets rid of that ratty kind of energy and then gets you into a flow. But I don't know if many people are really very conscious of that.
Yeah, that's why the biggest scriptures in the world, the Bhagavad Gita, is all one big battlefield. And it's Krishna, Arjuna, and addressing all kind of stuff that in fact relates to everything we're experiencing in life. And while they go through the battlefield, they give all kind of recommendations how to deal with life, how to deal with the battle. Yeah. And how to develop sustainable forces, how to develop power, how to keep positive, and how to understand that we need to do certain things in order to keep fighting. Taoism is exactly the same thing. In Taoism, the whole Taoist philosophy is based on the martial art, is on the warrior and the warrioress, female, like in a Taoist philosophy, which is the philosophy underpinning Chinese medicine. But the women are equally trained in martial art than the men. And a lot of the women are kick-ass fighters. I'm quite big. I'm 6'5", so I'm tall and I'm quite big. But I've been on inspiring sessions with tiny little petite Chinese women, and I got flogged badly.
That's humbling.
So watching the movie like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, it shows you that like how incredible power the female body can generate. And in fact, Wing Chun, which is a martial art that Bruce Lee introduced to the world, it was developed by a nun. And it actually utilized the female anatomy. And Wing Chun fighters are still to this day one of the toughest fighters. Yeah. And when you look at Bruce Lee, he really knows how to move. But it's actually developed by a nun, a woman.
Yeah. Yes? Yeah. The female character in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, she was my favorite.
Yeah, she's hot. She's hot. She really knows how to move. And that's the difference with Chinese actresses and Western actresses. Chinese actresses actually need to be proficient in the martial art. They actually need to know how to move. They can't just like when you look like Kill Bill, that movie from the Western world. I mean, that's a joke.
Yeah. It's hilarious though. Yeah.
Chinese laugh at that. You know, that's not Chinese martial art.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. So
yeah. Another thing of what you're saying there, like just what I've experienced this week, right? Because we're always learning. So I'm reading a book by Wallace D, and it's called The Science of Getting Rich, and it's really interesting. He talks a lot about using faith to manifest and create what's important, and he says basically the science of getting rich is the most important thing, because without resources you can't experience an entire life. It's an old book. But again, it was about focus and about concentration, and where you're putting your attention. And he's like, you know, if you're focusing on ill health, if you're focusing on the poverty, if you're focusing on all the bad, you know, the negative stuff, you're never going to get to where you're going. And that's right now is like, we've never had a bigger challenge about staying focused and, like, you know, keeping our intent for what we're creating, for what we're manifesting, you know.
This is why I want to talk about food.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so intermittent fasting, skipping breakfast, and sustainable health. That's a pretty important topic.
Food actually determines psychologically how you feel about life and how you keep moving forward. Yeah, so food will actually make you or break you. And the Chinese and the Indians have very specific guidance in that regard, once again based on the battlefield idea. So they actually are fully the Indian philosophy, Chinese medicine, they are so important for these times now because they already understand the energetics underlying the battle that we're experiencing right now. And in order to pursue this path, we need to lubricate the yin. Like this is in Chinese medicine and in the Ayurvedic philosophy, everything like lubricating the yin, cultivating the yin, you really have the most important element in place to prevent burnout. Yeah. So what we're experiencing, obviously, at the moment is the aftermaths of a massive global burnout in the first place, because the life before COVID was going at such a pace, it was depleting the yin. And I was running a podcast back in 2019 last year, and I always talked about it, that society will crash soon because it's going too fast. And a lot of the Indian masters, the gurus and the Chinese masters also stated the world is going too fast, it's going to crash. And so COVID obviously was basically a means of it now to slow down. So burnout is the result of yin not being available anymore. So that means the only energy that's available is yang. And yang is heat, is toxic, and yang destroys. So if there's no yin to balance the yang, so if there's no yin and yang in balance, destruction will take place. So the idea is you need yang, but you also need the equal amount of yin. So if you just focus on yang, 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 go, 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 yang, 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 and it consumes the yin, what happens that the yang, which is destructive, will actually destroy the body. It will actually kill the host. It's like an autoimmune disorder. It will actually destroy itself. Mm-hmm. So to prevent the yang destroying the body, we need equal amount of yin, because yin is liquid. So yin is water, yang is fire. So yin puts the water on fire. If the yin is consumed, the yang will automatically burn out the body. So stopping and slowing down is one way of looking at, in order to get the fire down, but it will not recuperate the yin, because the yin is the water that will control the fire. So when we look at what it all means, we actually need to look at dehydration and hydration as being the key element. So in Western sciences, it's understood that hydration is the key to health. If you dehydrate, if it's dry, the body will cause all kinds of problems, friction, can't function effectively, etc. Mm-hmm. So this hydration process is regulated by yin, because yin provides the hydration element. So as we have lived a very fast life and we put the accelerator all the way down to the floor and we basically consumed the petrol. Because for yang to work, to fire itself, it actually needs petrol. And that petrol comes from yin. So it draws it from the yin. So meaning what actually makes us go will actually reduce the yin. So replenishing the yin every day is the key element if you want to succeed in life. Yeah. So we've got to focus on that as the main focus. So if you keep going, that means sooner will be no yin left and we will crash, we'll get chronic fatigue or we get all kinds of other disorders, but we don't have the yin to control the destructive element. So the destruction in the body will continue. And so this is where a diet is coming into place. And in Chinese medicine, what we're focusing on is what we call a diet that hydrates the body. So we're constantly hydrating the body. So because when we wake up,
just for a sec, just ask the audience to like pop in the comments, pop in the chat box, like who hasn't tried a diet, right? Because nearly everyone's like done dieting, and of some sort. There's so much confusion about it. In the US, the number one determinant of if a person's going to be obese is dieting. It's the opposite. So just pop in the chat box and ask questions as we go along. Feel free to comment and so forth. So yeah, back to you, Jost.
Yeah, so hydration is what really is a key to health. So the faster we live, the more we do, the more we're on the go, the more we dehydrate the body, the more what happens, we burn out the body. So hydration is essential for growth process. So what we learned from the life before COVID is that we didn't look after the hydration process enough. So when we get up in the mornings, the body enters the yang phase. So the yang phase is 5 a.m. right up till about 2-3 p.m. That's the yang phase. So that's when most yang is available. So that's heat. But what yang requires is yin, so that the yang doesn't get out of control. So therefore, in Chinese medicine, that's why we work with breakfast. So what we're dealing with these days is one of these, the food fad is like intermittent fasting. So people skip breakfast and don't eat till after lunch. The reason why they do that is because the body, from this yin and yang imbalance, has caused stagnation. And the stagnation leads to toxic buildup and can't release the toxins. So when you wake up, you just actually don't want to face food. You actually don't want to engage with food. You actually need to first get movement happening throughout the day. And then usually after lunch, people feel ready to eat. Like whenever I bring up the topic of breakfast, the most comment I hear is, I can't eat till after lunch because it slows me, it doesn't feel good. So that's an example of where yin and yang is already out of balance. So if we can't eat till after lunch, that means we already got an imbalance of yin and yang. So that means the body needs to actually free itself first before it can look into food. So the whole intermittent fasting craze, skipping breakfast, etc., is a result of people having lived too fast and gone too fast and not balancing yin and yang. And as a result of that is that they're now in a situation where they need to try to balance the situation. When we talk breakfast in Chinese medicine, we talk wet, warm breakfast. So we call, that's the term, wet breakfast. So a wet breakfast is designed that because a wet breakfast, for example, is made out of grain. So we like the classic example of a wet breakfast is congee. In China, they're cooking rice because the rice absorbs more liquid than you actually see straight away. So, so for example, on half a cup of rice, ideally you want like 8 cups of water. That's about the ratio of the absorption method. So you cook it slowly. So the idea with breakfast is for the grain to absorb as much liquid as possible. Yeah, that's why we talk about soaking oats. Oats is another really good breakfast. Why? Because oats absorbs liquid. That's why we need to soak oats overnight, and usually about 4 or 5 times the amount of liquids to the level of the cup. So if there's half a cup of oats, so you would work with maybe 4 cups of liquid to really absorb it. Then it's slow cooking in the mornings. So obviously we let it cook while we do other things, ideally to simmer and do other things. What happens now through this cooking process is that the grain absorbs the liquid, and then it becomes like a paste, like a soup. But in there is lots and lots of liquid. So that's yin. Yes. So when we have breakfast, and with this warm, wet, cooked breakfast, what happens is that in that moment we absorbing all the liquids into the body. Because when you eat like a porridge that is soaked overnight and cooked slowly, and it's not dry like a brick. A lot of people say, oh, my porridge is like dry like a brick. That's because how much liquid the oats absorb. Yeah, so that's why I'm against muesli, because that's why in Chinese medicine we don't use muesli, because muesli doesn't absorb the liquids. So it's dry, or like a toasted sandwich, it's dry, it's not absorbed any liquids. So you're putting something in that will actually draw the liquids from the body rather than introducing liquids. Yeah. So the key of the morning breakfast is that if it's cooked slowly, soaked overnight, it will have all the liquid that we need. And then while we eat, the liquids that are absorbed in the grain, then during the digestive process, get slowly given to the body over the next few hours. So as we go into the yang mode and address our life and do what we need to be doing, the body has got lots of yin that is absorbed in the grain, and then it will be given to the body as the hours progress. So that means like a good breakfast means, say, have it at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. What happens is the liquid absorbed in there now will take the liquid, the yin, right up to, say, 1 o'clock. So when you in the go mode and deal with your challenges and become active, the body has got the yin, the liquid, to support the yang. Yes. So when you skip breakfast, what happens is there's no liquid introduced to the body. And drinking water is not an absorption method like the grain is. So it's not the same. This is otherwise we just could drink water. It's not the same.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that. Like, why is that?
Because in order for the body to really take it on, it requires the absorption method by the grain. There's a process in the digestion that is relevant, and that then leads, because we're talking yin, not liquid. Yeah, yeah. And so what happens is that when we cook the breakfast, it absorbs the liquids. Then the process that takes place between the stomach and the spleen, the large intestine and the small intestine, the 4 organs responsible for the digestive process. What happens? The liquids taken through the organs now will provide the body with the yin, so it's not about water, it's about the yin that we want. So the cooking process tries to capture the yin. The grain absorbs the liquid, the cooking process puts the yin in. Then the state of mind while we eat in mindfulness, transcendent mind, no distractions, not standing up, make sure to sit down for 15 minutes to eat in mindfulness, in peacefulness, no distraction, no radio, no TV, nothing. That means what we actually not only let the liquid be absorbed in the body, but we're also putting the yin from the universe through our state of mind into the food.
Yep, totally.
So now we're providing a foundation that is yin on every level. So then when we go and dealing with lots of challenges and fear and emotions, we have actually got the yin available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been profound for me because, like, yeah, with the health coaching, studied over 200 different dietary approaches, and when I was doing the personal training and stuff, I was an intermittent faster. I was a high intensity exercise, hit exercise in the morning, and then like eat anywhere between 11 to 2 p.m. in the afternoon. But I do feel I love my porridge now. I've absolutely fallen in love with porridge and the mindset of that settling, that sinking feeling when you eat. So key.
Both are needed. Both are needed. You can't just like put porridge, cook porridge, and then eat it while standing up. You need to also have that sitting down. Yeah. Because when we're dealing with a challenging situation like this COVID, the uncertainty in the economy, our emotions are stirred up. And we talked about it last week, like the water is turbid. So our emotions are under pressure. So emotions stirred up have the tendency to make liver qi stagnant. And obviously that will cause all kinds of problems. And we want to prevent the stagnation of the qi, because if it stagnates, it will cause trouble. If it moves and flows, doesn't matter what happens in life, if it flows, it's not an issue as much.
Yeah.
So like the post Nicole did yesterday, I really like that. It's not about the challenge, it's about how you respond to the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's Chinese medicine thinking. That's exactly the same thing. The challenge is always there, but how we respond to the challenge is what determines if it makes us or breaks us.
Yeah.
And so that's where, if the emotions flow freely, and that means they don't stagnate, they make the qi stagnant, then the challenge actually will make us stronger. So we actually will gain new grounds and we will keep climbing up that mountain. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And obviously that requires in order for the emotions to flow, we obviously need the yin. Yeah. And that's why we focus so strongly on having the yin in place around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So that's when we go into the yang, we have the liquid to take us all the way through. Yeah. And
Stephanie actually asked a question about that, which is a really great question. So thank you, Stephanie. She said, so, how is it that like that's the yang time of the day, given the fact that the spleen is 9 to 11, heart's 11 to 1, and spleen's considered the most feminine organ or the most yin, nurturing organ of the body.
Yes. Yeah, spleen is heart. Yeah, this is where it gets. Yeah, I know it comes up all the time. Chinese medicine. The spleen is a yin organ, heart is a yin organ, stomach is the yang organ, large intestine is the yang organ. Yep. So you got two yang organs followed by 2 yin organs, and then you got the small intestine, which is another yin organ. But the dynamic is yang.
Yeah.
The dynamic from 5 a.m. right up till about say 1, 2 is yang. So that's your peak time. That's the time to produce the most, because we got the momentum. Yeah, we got the most yang available. Yeah, we got the most yang available. And so that's why in all the Eastern traditions, the day always starts early, because you want to ride the wave. If you go to the beach to go for surf and it's 11 o'clock, you don't get many waves. You got to be there 5 a.m. Every surfer knows that's when the surf is the best.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because the nature knows 5 a.m. that's when the surf is up. Yeah. So if you sleep in till 10 o'clock and go to the beach, you won't catch waves. The wind is too strong, or it's not satisfactory, it's not rewarding. So you've got to be there early in order to capture the universal forces. So we can't avoid the fact that we are part of our being is spiritual, part of the other being is physical. Doesn't matter how rational we are in our thinking and how much proof we have available for what technology all produces, we are still one part is we are primarily a spiritual being, yeah? And that means we are connected to the forces that holds everything together. And the forces move through this universe. There's this one big wave that moves constantly through the universe, and they've got all kind of names for it. But what happens with that wave is it enters this where whatever part of the earth you live. So around 3 o'clock, that's when the yang enters. Yeah, so that's when it starts to enter. And that's why all the Buddhists get up at 3 in order to go do the first meditation. So that's when the surf starts getting up. By 4 or 5 o'clock, the surf's good. Yeah, that's a peak time. 5 a.m. is the peak surf. So you want to really capture the perfect wave. And if you get the momentum right, that wave will take you all the way to 2 o'clock. And you got the highest productivity available. It's a lot of research done on it.
I think if we think about the most kind of yang professions, like builders, tradesmen, people that are like using their body all day and literally creating, building stuff, that's when they work.
No. We're only supposed to. You see, as I write in my book Clock On, in the chi cycle, I observed that over and over. If you capture the yang phase, you are 4 times more productive till 2 o'clock. You're actually getting everything done, and then have lunch and then take it easy. Yeah. It's this idea of needing to work 12 hours, it's an outlandish idea. It doesn't represent nature. Like lions, the tigers are the strongest animals on this planet. They only work 4 hours in the day. The rest of the time they just sit there, resting.
Yep.
And it's amazing how many books are coming out now by all these Harvard professors who write about we need rest.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And there's now now they're proposing the 4-day work week, so 6 hours a day. Yeah.
Yep.
And so more and more businesses go into the 6 hours a day. And they've got, like, if you go Google 4-day work week and 6 hours a day work week, they are observed the incredible efficiency there as part of that. Because the way we work till COVID, it's not productive. But you got endless meetings. They are completely time consuming and ridiculous. Most of the time, look, someone who works at an office from say 9 o'clock till 6, 4 hours is wasted of those 9 hours. Easy.
Yeah, not productive. Yeah.
Easy, absolutely easily wasted. And so most people that can't get going, they get their 9 o'clock, and they take 3-4 hours before they actually get some sort of momentum. Yeah. And then you catch up. After 2 o'clock, then comes 5 o'clock. Oh man, I got to do my work. And then you press it all into 1 hour, and then obviously can't sleep.
Yeah. Then your blood pressure goes up. You're stressed out your brain. You're like, you're thinking like crazy. Yeah, it's a silly system we got.
And then next day, same shit. Yeah.
Hey, I reckon that's something I'd love to hear from the audience as well, right? Like just your feedback, everyone. Both Facebook and the Zoom is like, like how good has the slowdown been in COVID, right? It's horrible, all the the bad things that are happening, and there's a lot of tragedy, but how good is the slowdown? Like for me, it's been a wonderful wake-up call. I've loved it, and like family time and just house time, like home time. It's been a really good thing. I'm just curious as how many other people that are on this call that actually see COVID or their experience of COVID has been a positive impact to their life, their family life, and their.
Yeah, I like the Indian gurus and the Chinese masters. When you ask them about COVID, they all say one thing: it was essential. That's it. They don't talk about the virus. They talk about it was essential. Because look, how many people feel second mind about going back to meetings.
Yeah. Totally.
Wasted hours in stupid meetings. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's because it became so yang and the yin not available anymore. That means everything is so stagnant that people can't see proper anymore. So people in guiding positions, in managing positions, didn't have that yin in order to really make effective decisions. So it became frantic. So you just trying to hold on. Let's do that meeting. Trying to hold on that. Let's do this. Let's do this, and try in that somehow to get some peace. But it's not possible. So
Yeah.
it had to stop. Yes.
Yeah. That concept of excessive yang is just craziness. It's like Shakti energy.
It had to stop. It had to stop. Because if you don't have yin, your decision making is always bad. Because you're emotional. If you don't have yin, you are emotional. And no one makes good decisions when they're emotional. That's the first training when you go to the army, you learn how to not become emotional. Because when, like the Navy SEALs, their training is all about not to be emotional. Because that means you have clear view of the situation rather than getting frantic and then doing a decision that completely causes panic in others. Yeah.
Yep.
Politicians are burned out. They don't have enough yin. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're in positions to make decisions where they don't have the yin, the ability to think clearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
their work conditions.
the first people who need to slow down are the politicians. The whole government ideally needs to have a rest for 4 years. No politics for 4 years.
Classic idea.
So to let everything settle down again, and out of that settling, the yin comes up, and with it comes a leader who is yin and yang. Yes. So that's obviously why the focus is on these more like yin leaders now. All the women will run the countries because they present the yin, like New Zealand and Germany. And like you can see, like it's just like they're providing a reference to the yin, whereas the politics where the men run it seems to be not running quite well.
Yeah,
like America and England. Yeah.
And in that, actually, I've seen like 10 years ago, I found it a bit scary because I found like there were a lot of powerful women in business, right? In fact, in Australia, women were doing really, really well as entrepreneurs, but the women themselves were kind of feeling like they had to do it the man's way. But in the last 5 years, it's like there's a re-empowerment to women in business that they're doing it the woman's way. Like they're more feminine in their power. And it's actually, to me, it's like much more attractive. It's much more balanced. It feels more grounded. And you can see the women themselves are healthier and happier as well.
Yeah. And this is obviously where we need to take stock and say, okay, the true government comes now from within the people. Yeah. So the Tao Te Ching, which is the one of the most translated book in the world, it was written by a Chinese sage called Lao Tzu. And Lao Tzu wrote that book 2,400 years ago. And the Tao Te Ching pretty much like prophesied what will happen with the evolution of humanity. And it said in there that the external will collapse so that the people will take charge of ruling themselves. And out of that comes a society that is governed from within. And that means the virtue is established to follow the Tao. And that's what the Tao Te Ching means. So, and I can see this is the progression we're not noticing that because we can't really wait for politicians to do the decisions anymore because they're too frantic. They're lost their plot. And the idea is now to, okay, let's focus within. We have to focus within. So the lockdown, everything stopped. Now we're going to bring the yin back in again. So we're going to look, okay, what do I really need? And the thing I need most is obviously to capture the wave like a surfer would. I got to capture the wave in the morning. So I got to get that 5 a.m. that means I've got the momentum that I will be highly productive and four times more effective at 9 o'clock than 9 a.m. than I would be in the afternoons. Yeah. So that means now, and obviously I'm not dependent as much on being in an office anymore because it's been prophesied by social scientists that 80% of people will be working from home by 2022. And that was prophesied in 2016, but no one knew about COVID and lockdowns. So we're only 2 years away from 80% of the population working from home.
Yeah.
And so obviously businesses will be moving towards a new era, and there will be new mega trends we can't imagine yet. And automation will take care of all the stuff that was required, manpower. Yeah. So we can focus on other things. Yeah.
I had a lady the other day. She was saying she works in an organization, has been working in an office, and she'd been talking to her boss, and she was saying the management, and she said, look, how can I work from home 2 days a week, right? It's really going to help her productivity, the family, a whole bit. And the manager was saying, no, that's probably going to take like 18 months to organize. COVID hit. Then she was working at home 5 days a week in 3 weeks. It's like, seriously, like, get it together. We can do it. Like an 18-month project in 3 weeks under duress, done. Yeah. Hey, I want to ask you about, so there's a lot of people that love intermittent fasting, right? And there are parts of it that I actually really like too. But if you're going to do that, obviously now we understand the importance of breakfast. And I do remember when I was studying TCM, I think the words were eat like an emperor for breakfast, eat like a king for lunch, and eat like a pauper for dinner. So would you recommend people skip the dinner, like actually eat breakfast and lunch? If they really want to do intermittent fasting, they can still do it, but they just need to rearrange the time of when they do it.
Intermittent fasting is important. The body, like it has been researched, like 12 to 14 hours window of not eating, it's important, is essential.
Yeah.
Eating more than 12 hours declines your health. So ideally you want to get like 13 hours not eating.
It depends on a heap of genetics.
Absolutely. You want to get like 13 hours. Some people can take to 14 hours. I wouldn't go further than that because it will cortisol, stress hormones will be released most likely. So like according to my observation, having worked with so many people, the best is around 13 hours not eating. Yeah. So, but because you got the yang phase in the morning and you're inactive, you are fully active, you need the lubrication in order to generate the yin. Otherwise you burn yourself out. You see, this is the thing what I'm telling every intermittent fasting person, because I'm in the limelight all the time for intermittent fasting. I get attacked all the time. And I always tell them, I said, look, let's talk about it in 10 years.
Yeah. And that's the key part of the title of this talk, right? About sustainable health.
Yeah, the people, it's crazy. People will propose intermittent fasting, they're in their 30s.
Yeah.
Yes. So the main people I observe who tell everyone intermittent fasting are usually mid-30s, even younger, and tell everyone skip breakfast, don't eat after lunch, and have 6-hour window of eating. So of course you can do that for a little while, but by the time you 45, 50, 55, 56, then you will realize how much yin you got left.
Yeah.
And that's so on the short-term gain, of course you can do it, but you will actually cause long-term damage. Yeah. So the yang cannot be out of the reach of the yin. It never says anywhere in the scriptures yin or yang. It always says yin and yang. And it says in all scriptures, yin and yang are mutually dependent on each other. They are dependent on each other. You can't go yang without yin. So when you go hard yang all day, you go yang without yin. It's against the Tao. It will cause problems later. I always like to speak and mention my age because at 62 years of age, I can see what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, experience.
When you're 35, you live by theory, ideas, yes, but you don't have the proof in the pudding yet.
I was teaching ketogenic diets at 24 years of age.
Yeah, it's just like, we've got to be aware. The philosophy of Indian medicine and Chinese medicine is all based on this, of dual forces interacting on each other, contradict each other, but are dependent on each other.
Yeah.
You can't go yang and produce all day without being yin. It's not possible. If you do that, it will cause burnout, and we need another COVID.
Let's not create a second one.
Yeah, yeah, we got to learn from that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
let's be wise.
the intermittent fasting idea is good. It's essential. It's healthy. As I said before, if the body like about 10 hours eating and then 14 hours rebuilding itself, that's ideal. Yeah. So the way we do that in Chinese medicine is like we're working with the breakfast. So we have this wet breakfast. We don't have salad sandwiches because it's bagged product. A bagged product will not absorb liquids. If you put a bagged product like a muffin as breakfast, you will draw the yin out of your body. So you now you go yang, 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 and the muffin draws out the yin. The yang consumes your yin, the muffin consumes your yin. Yeah. So it's not enough. Yeah.
Yep.
So if you just have fruit, it hasn't got the grain to absorb it. So that means it will not be passed on during this process of digestion, which involves 4 organs, not just one. The idea of just fruit is a Western idea. That's an isolated view. That means we're just looking at one element, and that's the fruit sugars, that's the nutrient. And within the spleen or stomach, it might make sense. But the grain that is cooked in lots of liquid and absorbed overnight and absorbed during the cooking process provides the liquid during the digestive process that engages stomach, spleen, small intestine, and large intestine. So it looks at the whole 4 organs, not just one. Chinese medicine and Indian philosophy is always holistic. It looks at everything at once. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have the breakfast, and then we have good lunch. Then when it comes like 7 o'clock, 7 p.m., we have a simple dinner, just simple. Yeah. Just maybe like what we talked about before, like a cup of soup. And maybe that's when you can have a bit of bread because it's a different situation. Yeah. Yep. So just a simple meal, just a little bit of soup, pumpkin soup, beetroot soup, this kind of soups, and glass of wine with it. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Can't get away from the wine.
Finland was the healthiest bread. Most of us in control.
So it's easy to digest. So that means by the time comes 9 o'clock, it's just like the body just goes into this beautiful sleep mode. Yeah. Mm. So with intermittent fasting, when people, the ones who work with the 6-hour bracket, say 1 till 7, they have the biggest meal at 7. And then what happens to your psychology in your mind said, I won't eat till tomorrow 1 o'clock, so I'll really need to eat lots. That's the state of mind because you know exactly I don't eat till 1 o'clock. Now I can give myself a permission to pick out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, pick out, eat lots. And because I won't eat till 1 o'clock, so I need lots of fuel. So it's amazing how many unconscious belief patterns play with this idea.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was brought up with totally the opposite of dietary philosophy to what TCM is and what we're talking about. A couple of things, some questions people have talked about oats and stuff for breakfast, particularly in the Facebook group. Absolutely, oats are fantastic, and yes, you know that you can get gluten-free oats. You know, the oats themselves are not gluten. It's more about what they're processed in. It's just a facility they're processed in. But in another talk, Jost has spoken about food allergies and sensitivities is a function of low Jing, a function of low life force energy. So as you increase that, then your sensitivities disappear as well.
Yeah. If the food sensitivity is a result of yin and yang out of back. If yin and yang can't balance, whatever the food you take, the yin will be taking care of it because you have the hydration. The hydration is in place. The liquids are provided. It will take care. Yep. In Chinese medicine, we focus on lifestyle, not reduce foods. We don't take foods out.
Yeah.
So if you start taking food out, there's maybe a need for that food. So the principle is very straightforward. There's a question about eggs. Eggs are good. Yeah, why not? But like for example, what I would do would cook porridge and have an egg in there.
And I think you talked about like cracking the egg in there raw.
Yeah, crack it in there. Yes. Yes.
I've got to give that
Yeah.
a go. I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything, or have it, cook it, boil it together with it, and then have it together with the liquid. So you combine it together. There's lots of ways. For example, you would have the porridge or the congee, and then you have the boiled egg, and then you just have them together at the same time.
Yeah. The congee, the other one. That's right. Delicious congee. Do it in a slow cooker. Put some ginger. Beautiful. I'll put some links in the chat box there. There's links to Jost's websites, and there's a bunch of free resources you can download, including the 15-minute workout to do first thing in the morning. And The Clock on Health is his latest book, which is just awesome. Highly recommend that one. And over the number of talks, we've talked about Tai Chi. So there's a recommended Tai Chi course you can buy online, the Transcendental Meditation, tm.org, the breathing technique there. And if you're not in the Renew with Redox Facebook group, please, whoever invited you on the call, ask them to add you to that group, because we've got the 12, I think, interviews, previous 12 or so interviews now with Jost are in there. And if you want to learn more about Redox, which we haven't spoken much about today. So, Redox is my favorite liquid. Talking about liquids, it's like, I love that stuff. And I swear it's a massive yin builder for me.
Yeah, it's like, as I said a few times already, the universe will not provide a problem without a solution. With every challenge that comes up, like this is the principle of the arcs, Noah's Ark and things like that. When society goes through shifting, the ark arrives, and we've got to look at what are the arcs. Yeah. So obviously, with every challenge, people discover new nutrients, how to work with nutrients. It gets more and more profound. Yes. And the Redox signaling is obviously the main element that is directly involved with the digestive process, because Redox signaling is mitochondria, and mitochondria in Chinese medicine is spleen, and spleen in Chinese medicine is bacteria. And there's probably some people are aware of it. There's lots of talk about bacteria lately, and because the gut tells the brain what to do. The gut has got more receptors and neurotransmitter development than actually the brain. And it's not that the brain controls the gut, it's the gut controlling the brain. So that's why gut feeling is so important. Yeah. So the understanding of the gut feeling is in Chinese medicine, stomach, spleen, large intestine, small intestine. And that's all regulated by the intermittent flow, right from stomach to spleen to small intestine to large intestine. And that's a spleen energy, the earth energy. And that's regulated by the mitochondria as a result of the energy production. If the mitochondria is healthy, it will do this digestive process. The digestive process then makes the mitochondria healthy. And this Redox signaling is directly affiliated with this process. So if you enhance Redox signaling, obviously you will have a massive benefit in this digestive process, from stomach to spleen to small intestine to large intestine, the 4 major organs. So the Redox signaling is from a Chinese medicine perspective, benefits and assist stomach, spleen, large intestine, and small intestine. So that's why I always tell everyone, like, when you live a go, yang life, drinking far too much coffee on the go, and depleting the yin, Redox signaling, the Redox is completely depleted.
Yep.
Redox is totally depleted.
Yeah.
And you can't function effectively anymore. That means organ will crash, organ functions will deplete, all kind of like havoc starts getting caused. And obviously, as the organs create life, the organs are impaired, they can't create the body, so ill health happens. So it all comes down to if the Redox signaling, if Redox is in place, if it's functional, you have healthy organs. If you've got healthy organs, you've got a healthy body. If you've got a healthy body, you've got a healthy mind.
Yeah, it's all connected. And this is like, obviously I'm a pretty major Redox man in the world. I love my Redox, and I've seen thousands and thousands of cases where people have had enormous health breakthroughs using the Redox. But being the bit of a crazy man I am, and learning as I get older, it was only a few years ago, I was traveling all over the world, and sometimes I'd be in a different city every night and on planes and all that sort of stuff. And I learned that I could cheat with the Redox. Right? I could have more Redox and go harder, But this is where I want to put the plug in. While I think the Redox is the most physical, the best physical healing technology on the planet, I do, without the lifestyle, you'll still burn out. If you still push yang, and you don't do the breakfast, don't do the sleep, don't do the other things, don't do the meditation, you'll still burn out because that's just unnatural. You know, so you got to have the foundational lifestyle. I completely agree with you, Jost.
Yeah, health and happiness is all in the gut. So if you get the gut,
way to a man's stomach.
Right, everything else will happen. That's like, and that's the hara in Japanese thinking. That's a dantian in Chinese medicine. So the dantian, the hara, that's the gut. And we need gut feeling because we live in very uncertain times, not because the old is coming to an end. And we need to have the gut feeling to see the new. And gut feeling depends not only on a healthy bacteria, but also hence depends on redox signaling. If you got the redox right, your gut is good, you see opportunities.
Yeah.
If your gut is healthy, you observe, you can see what to do next. And obviously that's the big thing now. We got an opportunity now to provide people with new ways of living, new businesses arise as a result of that. You can pretty much say like 80% of the businesses we see now will be gone in a year. And there will, as a result of that, there will be new businesses, totally new businesses.
Yeah, heaps more people working at home. And so if you do want to learn about Redox, please join us at redoxtalks.com every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Australian Standard Time. So that's Brisbane time, 7:30 p.m. every Tuesday night at redoxtalks.com. So that link is also in a group in the chat there. Fantastic, Jost. So, I hope that's helped a lot of people because this whole intermittent fasting and is a massive fad. And I think it needed a course correction. I think you've given that today.
Yeah, course correction.
Thank you.
Do the window between 8 a.m. and say 8 p.m. like that window. That's fine. 8 a.m. and then have the big meal at lunch and the little dinner at dinner.
Yeah, that is so awesome. So thanks everyone for joining us again for today's interview. Check out any recordings in the group. Really appreciate what you're offering us, Jost. It's golden information. I learn every single time. I take notes, and I'm implementing it in my own life. And Nicole is too, and it's making a big difference. So super grateful to you. Any words of wisdom before we sign off for today?
Lots of opportunity ahead of us, but if the yin is not in place, the opportunity ahead of us will be useless because it's going to crash again. So whatever comes up, wherever we're moving towards, it always will be better because when you look back in the history, in hindsight, it always is better. In front of it, it's always not that exact same experience. But what it all comes down to, if the yin is up, we always feel good regardless of what happens.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's the beauty. Just focus on the path. It's an inner path more than an outer path. And if the inner path is established, we always feel good, regardless of what happens. And that's the key element. The happiness is within. And obviously we need to be active, but happiness is a result of yin and yang in balance. So go yin, then go yang.
I love it. You're a legend. Thanks, Jost. Have a fantastic week, everyone. We'll catch you next week. Same time, same place. Ciao.
Yep. Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye for now.